I was truly dazzled by the texture and the detail throughout this piece. I wanted to reach out and touch it and play with these elements as well. I thought overall the moody atmosphere was really effective. Um, I thought it was really interesting, this idea of destroying nature, which ultimately destroys ourselves. Each attempt to cut the tree down uh, ultimately hindered him more so, and him having to reflect on what humanity he has left. That was really powerful. I feel like there's a lot you can gather from this piece, but thematically, I just found it incredibly rich, and it's kind of what I latched onto. I loved the pacing. I also thought that the music was perfectly suited for it. That black background, kind of classic child music box um, song with that slightly ominous feeling as well, because this is darker material that we're traversing.
Absolutely loved this short. Loved it from opening to ending. Really nice opening shot too. And I love the animation. And I think this is also called stop motion. Just really respect the amount of time it takes to do something like this, but also just everything about it, the story, the subtle music. I thought the sound design was super important element of this, and I thought it was really well done. Great title. And I love that it's inspired by the Wizard of Oz. And this guy wrote down has the worst luck ever as far as cutting off all his limbs. And I loved the small, subtle thing of when the head was on the floor and it looked like it was actually trying to get up. That was interesting. And I just thought it was very creative all the way around. And I wrote down he should have quit while he had a head. That was a head. It just made me laugh. A lot of the expressions on the face and the looking in the mirror and just looking at the head and then kind of figuring it out as, with us as we went along too.
This was a really brilliantly made piece of stop motion. I think it was super engaging and thought-provoking, and I really loved it. It was very beautifully made. I especially thought that it was really crazy and spooky in the beginning, that everything looked so normal, except for the random barrel of human parts. And the revelation of the Tin Man did that to himself was really cool. I liked the message that he kept getting hurt and he would replace those parts of himself with a stronger and less human version of himself. And in the end, he did the same with his own head to match the rest of him, creating the Tin Man, and basically locking away the human parts of himself so to not get hurt again. I think it really ties into the idea of the Tin Man from Oz, who needed a heart, and it was because he lost the human parts of himself, all replaced with this cold metal shell.
And although this piece features a lot of loss of limbs, it's not fully morbid. It's not full of gore. Likely, because it is animated and done in a way that isn't overly gory. And you realize eventually it is the origin story of the Tin Man, who with the loss of limbs has created a tin version of himself until he is fully a Tin Man. He is extremely clumsy. And it was the climactic moment for me is when he chooses to take his head off on his own as acceptance of his fate, of who he now is. And then we see in the end, he has chopped every tree and turns each tree into a tin version, creating the Tin Woods. And I love the ode in general to the Wizard of Oz as giving us a sense of where these characters came from before we meet them in this story that we all know and love.
We get this beautiful animated piece. We get to see him through his journey, and he ends up going to just a wooden storage area where he's met with a head, and when he's met with this head and this head drops to the ground, he then is met with these memories, and as he essentially loses his body parts piece by piece, he then replaces himself with machine until in the end that he just ends up being consumed by the mechanics of it all. And he ends up putting his head back on properly on the shelf and closes the door on this. As he exits, he sort of looks back of who he once was and kind of looks forward to this, you know, really stepping into this encompassing embodiment of who the Tin Man became, a man with, no heart, no mind, no soul, like taking away these bits of humanity piece by piece.
It's kind of like a spin-off, like telling about his story, who survived, like guy who accidentally cut like his head off himself, and he just used like his own like good heart, like his own material to save him from being like just like a headless guy. So I feel like this one is pretty imaginary, but it's also like has a heart, has a message, and it's well told without like any dialogues, just like the body language, the movements, and the settings. So I feel like it's really good as a short film, and it's made like in animation. It's well done and impressive, and it's kind of like want me to watch more like after this.